So at the beginning of this year, I started a new e-commerce company. And in this video, I kind of want to just go behind the curtain and talk about how things have been going, what's been working, where we go from here. And this is a very different situation from what I have talked about for the past few years on the channel of selling things on Amazon FBA. This is a very customized, engineered product that only we make our own and selling it directly on Shopify. It's a high price point product. It's $1,000, and we are at the level we are without running any direct paid traffic, which is interesting. And those are the types of things that I want to explain, and hopefully there are some things that you can take from this and apply into your own business. So the brand is called RSNV, and we make upgrades for high-end Porsches, mainly the GT cars. Right now, our only product is a part that fits the Porsche GT4, which is the track spec Cayman platform. And that is the car that I own. I've had it for over a year, and that kind of led to the development of this part and of this company. So what the product itself is the GT4 comes with a wing, like a spoiler at the back, but it's relatively short. It's not heightened that far above the trunk lid, and a lot of people want that raised up so it looks more like the RS style cars, GT3 RS, GT2 RS, maybe upcoming GT4 RS. So that's kind of the idea behind RSNV. You're making it more RS. And so the first thing that I think has really led to this working is that there was an obvious need in this market. There was something missing. There were several very low quality options already available for this, but they either looked terrible, cheap options. There was one that was very high quality, but the proportions are a little off to some people's eye, including my own, and I wasn't completely satisfied with any of the options available on the market. So our whole model has been to maintain the absolute highest quality, the best design and proportions, yet coming in at the price point that is relatively in the range of the ones that, for the most part, don't even look very good. And because there was this pent-up demand and people wanting exactly what we came in and fit a solution to, that is why so much of this is kind of just falling into place on its own without a ton of brute force, not spending thousands of dollars on Facebook ads and things like that. It's more of just fitting a peg into its exact hole. And there was this crowd of people that were, really wanting this deep down. And we just we packaged up the right all around solution that made it just a no-brainer product. And part of that positioning was having a really cohesive brand, and overall product experience was something that I put a lot of time and thought and craft into. Maybe that'll even be a separate video in the future, is breaking down kind of the whole unboxing experience and the consumer experience. But that was something I put a lot of time into, because other options on the market, they had just some very basic instructions online. This is a thing that needs to have installation, of course. It's relatively straightforward, but it's, also, it could take a couple hours and maybe two people to do. It's not like incredibly straightforward. So it requires instructions. So we did beautiful video, and we have instructions in the box, and you scan it and you can go to the video from in the box, or you can just, it's in all the different places, which really comes together with a branded experience from the time they purchase until they get it onto the car, and then they're sharing it and taking pictures of it and tagging us on Instagram, and it's just this whole life cycle. So one thing we did that was really, really cool, I had never done anything like this, was we did pre-orders up front. So this was in around December of 2019, and our full launch was in January of 2020. And we actually did pretty much the pre-orders that we did were just about enough to cover our first production run, which was insane, and basically did our own Kickstarter in a way. And that is much cooler than, say, Amazon. And this was something that was new territory to me, and it was really, really cool to be getting orders as production was getting started. That felt great. And since we're already coming in at a fair price point, direct to consumer pricing, not really priced for wholesale or retail, selling to distributors, we try to avoid any further discounts. But we did do a discount for pre-orders, because those were people that were putting their trust in us in purchasing a product that nobody really had except the prototypes that were on my own car. So that felt fair, and that allowed people to kind of take the plunge up front. And so the ways we're getting customers, both for those initial pre-orders months back and the way we're getting orders now, is interesting because it's so different than this direct-to-consumer or like direct ads sort of model that we're used to with Amazon or other e-commerce, where you're buying an ad, getting attention, you're bidding on keywords that people are typing in. This is so much of it's a small community. There are not that many of these cars in the world, so it's more about, but it's also high price point product. So it's like we don't need to sell that many for this to be a really solid business, even just on this very first product. So it's more about, how do we find these customers, these enthusiasts, where they are? And so for a market like this, that has meant forums. Old school forums there's still some really active ones for this community. Subreddits a little bit, Instagram hashtags, Facebook groups. There are several Facebook groups just for enthusiasts of this particular model of car, or a little bit broader, Porsche GT cars or whatever, and really getting ourselves involved in the forums, in the groups, and on Instagram hashtags. These have really been key to initiating the domino effect of word of mouth, because it is such a small community. So these people talk to each other, which is incredibly beneficial for us. And we just kind of need to push the ball down the hill and get it rolling, which we're doing through, engaging on these forums, engaging in these groups, engaging with people directly in DMs and hashtags and comments on Instagram. And it's kind of that old school raw hustle type of stuff, which is interesting because I feel like in the tech e-commerce space, we kind of forget about these things a lot. But for this particular product, seeing that it's not a high volume product, it's a relatively high touch sale because it is expensive. So it requires a little bit more of a flow, a little bit more of a, longer form sales funnel. Not funnel in the way of, like upsells and retargeting and stuff like that. I just mean like the sales process takes longer. People might see it, think about it, ask questions. Almost every single customer is reaching out to us or having some kind of contact with us before ever placing the order, which is really interesting and very different than just a typical impulse buy on Amazon. So while we're not doing direct paid ads, there are a couple things that we're doing in addition to just, looking at hashtags and things like that. And I will get into the sort of paid ad thing. But for example, on one of the main Porsche forums, you can pay to be a forum sponsor. Not a crazy amount of money, but we've done that so that we can talk about our own products and we get a little badge under our account name and things like that. And that has definitely been helpful. And also a little bit of sort of influencer marketing, I suppose you would call it. This is for people that have a following, substantial followings that have these cars, working out a deal with them anywhere from, I won't say exact numbers, but it could be anywhere from a free product to 50% off or something like that to get this product in their hands, especially early on. That was definitely something that we did a few of, which is not really direct paid ads. We didn't pay anybody to do anything, but we did do some of, exchanges. And I also want to mention something I kind of skipped over or went a little too quickly in the positioning and sort of packaging of the product. This is a highly engineered product, I should mention. This is not something that you just find off the shelf. This took us 7 months of engineering and prototypes and development to even get to the point where we were opening up that pre-sale. And my business partner in this is a mechanical engineer. This is legit. So it required a lot more than just, selling a product and kind of really coming up with this. And that is why it was able to fit into this pent-up demand, because it was something that didn't exist off the shelf. This is something that required a lot of upfront planning and design and work. So back to the influencer thing. For example, one was the YouTuber Cars with Luke. Incredible channel, by the way, if you like car stuff. His cinematography is literally, I think, the best of any car YouTuber. It's phenomenal. And he just got a new 2020 718 GT4. So he worked something out with him and it's in his videos, which is incredibly cool. So stuff like that has definitely been a small part of the overall strategy. And on the word of mouth, because I mentioned that is so big in this, is, these are, people go to Cars and Coffee, these local meetups. It's very much people talking to each other. So I decked out my personal GT4 in an RSNV banner decal down the side, Instagram tags. Of course, it has the product on it. So it's kind of like using my own vehicle as the RSNV like flagship vehicle. So that has, of course, helped with the local word of mouth. Every product itself has the logo on it as well. So that leads to people talking and people being like, oh, that looks aftermarket. What is that? Who made that? And, these communities, people love to show off all the mods they're doing and all the things that are unique about their particular car. So it just lends itself perfectly to that. And I knew from the beginning that the only way we're going to succeed in this is to really get that word of mouth. That's really the core thing. It's not about just setting up the right Facebook targeting. It's about how do we get into this community. So I think that's honestly a huge lesson there, is thinking about that end customer. Where are they? What do they want? How do they talk? How do they think about this? And it was easy for me to do that because I'm the target customer. I scratched my own itch with this product. I made exactly what I wanted. It came out perfectly. It's incredible. And a lot of other people in this enthusiast community feel exactly the same way. So there's a element of just being transparent and just being part of the crowd that is really resonating with people. So as far as direct marketing ads, I'm not against it, but I do have hesitations because it is such a particular person that would be a potential buyer, right? They have to own this exact model of Porsche GT4. There's not that many of them. It's not something you just create an obvious Facebook audience for. One thing I think is lower hanging fruit that I'll probably do shortly is Google ads, just for direct search, people that type in GT4 wing risers or something that is basically an exact match. That seems like a no-brainer to show up for. Maybe doing some Facebook ads for retargeting people that dropped off the cart, but it's such a small pool of people we're talking about. It seems easier at this stage to just kind of maintain one-on-one follow-up with people that have reached out, and then, potentially make them an offer later, or just kind of keep nurturing the relationship until they buy a month later, 3 months later. We're really starting to see that right now, which is really cool, and again, very different than what I'm used to. And we definitely have plans to continue to grow this for, as long as we can. And this product itself, I think, can grow to a pretty solid level, especially because the 2020 718 GT4 is just now starting to be delivered in the US, literally basically today as I'm filming this video. So there's going to be a whole new pool of customers that this product is compatible with. And then we want to get into all other kinds of parts, mainly focusing on the Porsche and GT car community for sure. But we have a whole spreadsheet of potential list of other items to sell to the same crowd of people, and just really build out this brand into where it's, something cool, but also performance parts. And there's a lot of ideas for us to do that. And, I think we'll continue doing that by kind of building our reputation in these various communities. Like I said, Facebook groups, Porsche forums, subreddits, Instagram, and that just seems to be key. And it's every single set that's out there seems to eventually lead to another set being bought, because there is that almost viral component to it because of the word of mouth. Hopefully something I said here can be transplanted into your business. That is definitely my hope with this video. If you found value in it, do smash the like button and subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell so you'll know when I post new videos. Feed the algorithm, drop some comments down below. If you know anybody with a Porsche GT4, show them RSNV. You can check out rsnv.co on Instagram, or just the website is rsnv.co. And yeah, check it out, see what I'm up to. It's cool to kind of talk transparently about it, and hopefully you liked the behind the curtain look. And let me know if you want to continue hearing updates about what's going on with RSNV.